What's up, guys? It's Uncle Freedom coming to you on a glorious and well-deserved day off, albeit a very weird one. I ended up working a night shift, and I work at 7 a.m. tomorrow, so it's a little odd, and I am quite sleep-deprived, so cheers. So, I made a video, like a month ago, and it was uncomfortable truths about prepping, and that video exploded. People loved it. Everybody commented on it. It was great. It had tons of engagement, and that led me into some stuff because I already had the stuff written down for video number 2. So today we're going to look at uncomfortable prepping truths, volume 2. So I hope you guys hang out, have a great time with me today. Go ahead and like, subscribe, tell a friend, because we're growing over 7,000 people at this point. That is awesome. I had somebody tell me, I can't believe you don't have more followers. I'm like, dude, I can't believe I have 7,000. So be thrilled about what you got. And I am, but I'll always take more. It's really cool to watch this thing grow and fun. So what do I got coming up? I apologize for not getting the videos out as consistently as I was before, doing 3 videos a week. I have been very busy. My job in law enforcement, it's been crazy around here. We've got like new projects coming into town, new things going on. I've also been at classes, been teaching. I have 2 classes coming up, a street crime school where we go talk about drugs and gangs and death investigations, stuff like that. And then I have a Griffin shooting school that I'll be going to, which is gonna be awesome. And I hope I get some great footage there. It's a handgun, fighting handgun course, so it should be awesome. So, Uncomfortable Prepping Truths, Volume 2. Let's check it out. First, bartering is a necessity. It is. You're right. You are 100% right. But bartering, by the very definition of bartering, is taking an item that you have an excess of and trading that off to someone else for an item that you are lacking. Which means, by the very definition of bartering, you are showing up at a swap meet, which is basically what we're going to have, and letting the world know you have extra of this. And much just like in today's society, if you show up with a pocket full of silver coins and start buying stuff, just like the rapper that flaunted his stack of $100 bills and got robbed 5 seconds later, that is probably going to take place because dirtbags have the innate ability to survive the worst situations to keep raising hell on good people. That's, sad fact, uncomfortable truth. Also, you really wanted honey for your coffee. That's cool. I appreciate that. And as you digged out your pocket full of crusty, steel-cased AK-47 ammo that you've been hoarding for just this bottle of honey, you have now told everyone that one of the things you have extra of is ammo. I can't see how that could ever go wrong. Uncomfortable truth, guys. Number 2. I've heard this one said recently, which is bullets and beans, man. I got my bullets, I got my beans. That's great. But in a world in which everything stops working, you're going to have to dig things like a latrine. You're going to have to plant a garden, and you're going to have to do all of that with hand tools. You're going to have to split wood, cut down trees with hand tools. So that means if you don't have shovels, you should probably go fix that. Because I have a friend who is quite good at preparedness, and I'm going to bring him up later in another one of these points, who didn't realize he didn't have an axe until we brought it up one day. So have hand tools, and in addition to having hand tools, have a way to maintain and repair your hand tools, because it's going to suck if your shovel handle breaks, and they're going to do it. Have you ever actually rehung an axe? If you haven't, this might be a good challenge to go learn, because odds are you're going to break the handle of the axe. I have also seen people that own really nice stuff that can't sharpen a knife or an axe. Dull axes don't do anything. Those are called hammers. Learn how to sharpen your tools, maintain your stuff, and keep stuff on hand to repair it, much in the same vein as the last video where I talked about, do you have shingles, roofing nails, nail screws, lumber, so that you can repair your almighty homestead and your castle? If the answer to that is no, you need to look at that. If the answer is, I don't have any of these hand tools and I don't have the ability to fix them, I would look at that. Another one to think about is, you have the great Milwaukee or DeWalt power tools. Good for you. Which, that's great if we have power. If we don't have power, you have a paperweight. hand drills, things you might need. If you don't have an analog version of the fancy stuff, you don't have a prep. Uncomfortable truth. Next up, and this is where we talk about one of my friends again. Can you cook? This friend of mine has an excellent supply of foods, beans, all this other stuff. No, I won't tell you who he is because you're not going to go to his house because he'll just bury you in the woods. He can't cook unless there's like a microwave involved. If you can't cook, probably not going to go well. Cooking is not just the fine art of heating stuff up, man. There's like these things, they're called recipes, and they're there. Like cooking is half art, half science. You have to be able to understand what tastes good, how things go together, and how to make certain things. You also need to be able to read and understand a recipe and have the things necessary in that recipe to make stuff. Can you do something as simple as now your stove doesn't work because you had an electric stove because that's the way the cookie crumbled? And can you cook over an open flame outside? Can you bake bread in a bush pie? These are really simple tasks that you can learn that can make you more prepared, but it's an uncomfortable truth because most people I've met have thought about food but have not thought at all about how they're going to cook it when everything goes wrong. Which leads me to my next very important uncomfortable truth, which is that's cool. I'm super glad you can cook over an open flame outside. However, smells travel. As a former smoker for 20 years who has been quit for 9 years, I can tell you that I can pinpoint the guy across a Walmart parking lot in a 50-mile-an-hour wind gust who just lit a cigarette. It's a thing. An alcoholic can damn near smell beer through the can. It's a thing. You are so finely attuned to that stuff. As a smoker, you smell cigarettes. As an alcoholic, you can pick up the scent of booze. As a person that is somewhat addicted to food, because without it we die, you will be able to pick up the scent of food. Which means that you should probably look into some things in your secured bug out location, assuming you've got one of those. You should look into the ability of how you're going to cook, how you're going to camouflage your cooking so that people don't smell it, or simply take mitigating circumstances, being that when you cook, the downwind approach to your cook camp is like a sheer cliff so they can't get to you. Also, I probably wouldn't cook in the middle of my secured bug out location because I do not want human beings that have suddenly turned into a bloodhound on a fresh trail showing up at my house because they smell the venison. Smells travel. People can smell them. Which leads me, this is also kind of an important point when we talk about things in recce. Reconnaissance, recondo, reconnoitering. Please don't use the word recce. That's almost cringy at this point. However, I will tell you as someone with a background in that, if you are clean in an environment that smells like dirt, sweat, and goats, you will be picked up pretty quick. You can pick that stuff out immediately. I will tell you, in the world that I came from, sometimes it was 7 days, sometimes it was 12 to 14 days, and you wouldn't shower. When you took your clothes off, they stood up by themselves in the corner. You smelled awful, but we couldn't smell it. We could, however, smell everyone else when we got back to base because they were clean. And it's such a foreign smell in a world where things aren't clean anymore. I could pick it out instantly. I can damn near tell you what detergent you used. In a world where things stink, don't smell good, you might want to watch that. I understand that cleanliness is next to godliness, but think about a way to do it. Same thing applies when you hunt deer. Deer smell things, okay? Human beings will become the new deer of our society in the woods. They will smell and come to you. Which leads me to one of my favorite points ever. Fat people, clean people, and healthy people really stick out in a world where people are unhealthy, really skinny, and dirty. If you think I'm kidding, talk to anyone who's ever visited a third world country. You don't smell like that. You can also immediately pick out the warlords that are controlling the food supply because those guys do not look like the starving horde over here. It's easily detectable. And while yes, you could do something like wear baggier clothing to try to camouflage the fact that you are better fed than the other people around you, your face will give you away. There is a distinct gauntness that shows up on a human being that has not eaten regularly. So, uncomfortable truth with this, you are probably going to have to decrease your calorie intake, especially if you have a lot of food supply, which, side note, silver lining, your food supply will go further, but you're going to have to lose weight in order to blend in when you go on that bartering trip with the crusty AK-47 rounds because you didn't put enough honey in your stuff. So, being clean, being well fed, and being healthy in an environment where those things are no longer normal immediately tells people that you have access to a resource they don't. And I get it. There's a part of it where it's kind of a fine balancing act because clothing does not survive if you don't take care of it. There are tons of stories from the Sioux Scouts during the Rhodesian Bush War. If you've never read up on these guys, they're freaking awesome. Go and read up on that. But they talk about how their clothes after 14 days in the bush were literally rotting off of their bodies because of the abuse, the dirt, the filth, the sweat. Clothes don't make it if you don't take care of them. However, if you take care of them, maybe have like a dirty set that you wear for your bartering mission and don't bathe for a week before you go. I don't know what the right answer to this is, but I'm telling you, if you show up in clean clothes looking well fed, you are going to have people that follow you back to wherever you came from. Because if they're hungry, you look like you just ate. So, uncomfortable fact, man. You're not going to walk into an environment where everybody is emaciated, drawn up in filthy clothing or wearing hardly any clothing and they smell terrible. Smelling decent or not filthy in clean clothes, looking like you just had a few meals. It's a bad idea. Terrible decision. You don't want, again, that attention. That's that gray man thing. If you look a little too normal or, so food for thought, guys. Uncomfortable truth. You're not going to be able to maintain your svelte physique and your raw steel and sex appeal after the world ends because somebody else is going to just yeet your stuff with their tap code out SKS. Put it down, Bubba. Leave the Dremel alone. Here's another one for you. I've heard this all the time. I've even said it myself, which is if I didn't invite you, don't show up to my house. Pretty simple. But dead bodies cause disease. They spread disease. Dead bodies contaminate water sources, food sources. Dead bodies contaminate the very land that they're on. In an environment where we no longer have running sewage, we don't have water treatment systems, we don't have any of those modern necessities that we would normally have anymore, dead bodies are going to present a very real problem. And I'm not just talking about the dudes, the marauders that you put down because they were bad dudes and you're a good red-blooded anti-communist American. I'm talking about the things we talked about in the first episode of this, which is the people who are insulin-dependent diabetic, the people that have heart medications, the guys on dialysis, people that are on cancer meds. They are not going to make it. Have a plan for what to do with them. It sounds great when we talk about it. I've got my mutual assistance group. It's a bunch of like-minded neighbors. We live in a cul-de-sac that's in a gated community. Nobody's getting into us. However, Floyd down the street just died because, well, he didn't have his heart meds for a week. What is your plan to do with Floyd? You going to Viking funeral him? You going to burn him because that's going to send up a big smoke signal that you're burning something. People are going to come to see what it is. People do that now. You don't think they're not going to do it when the world starts going to crap? No. Have a solution to deal with dead bodies. Figure it out because dead bodies cause disease and you don't want to live through everything only to get killed by a microscopic bug that you could have prevented with, a bag of lime. Uncomfortable truth. Oh, number 8, this leads perfectly into this, which is I live on property with a running stream. I've got a pond. I'm great. I filter my water every time I have this. Or my water's clean because it comes directly off the mountain. As somebody who has hiked in some of the most pristine, beautiful lands in Alaska and Canada, I will tell you I have drank my fair share of water out of fresh running mountain streams. I will also tell you that I got crypto from one of those, and I had the worst diarrhea you've ever seen out of a fresh running, perfectly clean stream. And that is because animals are nasty by nature and they crap in the water where they're at. Also, animals die. They have a nasty habit of doing that when they're on their own somewhere. Human beings are filthy. Human beings will probably contaminate your water source long before the animals have a chance to do it. And water sources are a primo hunting ground for other predators, human beings, you name it. So if they kill something and leave the bones in the water supply, you now have a contaminated water supply. It is a lot easier to jack up your water supply than you think, so act accordingly, have a different plan. I know you love your mountain stream, and that's great. Dead bodies also, if you live in a community, have a really nasty habit of contaminating water supplies. So also, if you have one of those marauders, please don't bury them next to your running stream. Thought. And another one we never think about, too, with the water supplies, vehicles. Vehicles are going to be everywhere, right? Because we're all agreeing the fact that vehicles don't run forever, and you're going to have, oil, antifreeze stuff. When that stuff leaks, it gets into the groundwater supply, causes you a problem. You have one that goes down too close to the bank of a creek. Now you have oil in your creek and your water's not drinkable. You get where I'm going with this, right? Number 9, and I think this one is very important. I don't think it's hit on nearly enough. And that is, if you have never been in a fight, you don't have any idea. I'm not talking about a pissing contest on a playground when you were 9 years old because your little buddy Jimmy said something nasty about the girl that you liked, Becky. I'm talking about a fight with somebody who doesn't want you around anymore. Most of your veterans have been in a fight before. Whether that was a barroom brawl where they really got into it or veterans have a nasty habit of fighting. It's kind of what we do. But I will tell you, from a guy that's been in a lot of fights, there are 2 rules that I tend to go by when it comes to fighting, which is if you are ugly, don't fight ugly people. They don't have anything to lose. The second one is if they are not ugly, but they give off an air that they can handle themselves, there is a reason they are not ugly. Don't fight those people. You also need to understand something when you fight, that everything is fair game. I am old. I don't fight fair. If there's a stick, I'm beating you with the stick. It's going to happen. Dude, I'm not going to lose the fight. I'm not going to get beat up because you need to show me how big yours is. I'm going to hit you with a stick, and we're going to move on about our way. If you've never been in a fight, join a martial arts program. Go to a boxing gym. Learn the basics in this. I have a background in boxing, kickboxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I will tell you, until you've been hit, you have no idea what you're doing. I used to tell people all the time. People would tell me, I've been in a lot of fights, Cool, how many times have you lost? If the answer to that question is, I've never lost, you've never been in a real fight. You don't learn anything from winning fights. You learn because you get your ass kicked. So find a gym, a dojo, a boxing gym, something, go in and learn the basics, and then get into sparring so that you get hit. And more importantly, when you get hit, you learn you're not going to die. You can work through this problem and actually keep fighting. Because that is survival. You have to be able to keep fighting. Just because you got hit in the mouth doesn't mean anything. Also, you need to understand that all that really cool John Wick, awesome ninjutsu stuff that you think you know doesn't exist in a real fight. I've been fighting my whole life in some form of a discipline, boxing, what have you. And I will tell you that unless it's a dedicated boxing match with gloves, it gets ugly and not sexy real fast when we get into a fight. Because my objective is to win. I don't necessarily care how it looks as I do it. But you need to understand that when you fight, all of that cool stuff goes out the window. You are not going to be all like back and doing your own thing. You're going to be throwing bat-wing punches trying to take people out. It's ugly, it's dirty, and it's a real fight. I'm talking about real fights. People that don't want, like cops get into it all the time. We have guys that we arrest that don't want to go to jail. Those people fight like a trapped animal, or the third monkey on Noah's Ark's ramp, okay? They fight. They do not want to go. I mean, we've had a methed out dude that's like 5'4", throw around 500 pounds worth of mail before. Like 2 guys holding on to him. We were getting thrown places because he didn't want to go. He went because that's just kind of how that works. Because, I mean, I escalate when you escalate. About the time I realized he wasn't going to play fair anymore, well, yeah. You're going, whether you like it or not, my friend. So you need to understand that if you get hit in a fight, you're not going to die, and you're only going to learn that by going out and getting in a real fight. Just how it is, okay? You have to go out and do these things. As Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan till they get hit in the mouth. So go out, get into a gym, get into a fight, learn some skills, and understand that fights don't go like you think they are, and you need to be ready to get hit in the face and still continue fighting. Number 10, and I saved this one for last. I do have 3 bonuses for you today, but number 10 I saved for last, which is we're soft. As a society, we're soft. I have heard this more times than I can count. We bounced back from the Great Depression. Yes, we did. But we also were a society of people that understood how to live with the land, off the land. They knew how to grow their own vegetables, butcher animals, You didn't go buy your stuff at a grocery store. You bought a side of beef from a farmer and you butchered it yourself. You knew how to preserve your own food. You understood how to grow things without things like pesticide. Right now, I can tell you, I have seen farmers in the new combines that are all completely GPS controlled that can't drive the damn things if the GPS is having a problem, because it doesn't work that way anymore. The days of having the guy with a full analog system that's oxen-drawn carts or whatever that's harvesting stuff, that doesn't exist anymore. Which means that if the balloon ever goes up and we have crops in the field, tons of crops are going to rot in the field because there's going to be no way to harvest them. We do not have the infrastructure as a country to bounce back from another depression. We don't. We farmed out all of our major manufacturing capabilities to another country because, well, let's face it, we wanted it cheaper, and the people in control of it are greedy, and they wanted to do it cheaper so they could pocket more money. Which means we no longer have the capability. We didn't export food, import food. We didn't do any of that crap. We were Americans. We took pride in stuff, and we made our stuff here. When something broke, we made another one here. We don't do that anymore. So I don't know what you think you're going to bounce back from, but it's probably not what you think, man. I'm telling you right now, we will never survive another huge Great Depression, not as a country as a whole. People will starve in the streets and they will die because we do not have the necessary infrastructure to rebuild the country in our country anymore. We don't have the skill set that your great-grandma had to understand how to make things go further, how to make what she couldn't eat, what she could grow, what she couldn't grow, what she could grow in different parts of the season, how to grow indoors. She didn't, they knew how to butcher cattle, butcher goats, milk cows, make cheese, cottage cheese. They knew how to do all these things. You don't. As a whole, as a society, we are soft. We are somewhere on that trend of soft men make hard times make strong men make good times make soft men. We're somewhere on that good times make soft men part. Or we're somewhere in that hard times make strong men. We're somewhere there. The problem is, we don't have any of the other stuff that our ancestors had to make it work anymore. Like the days of old, unless you were raised in a rural thing where you learned how to do this stuff or make candles out of freaking beef lard, unless that's a thing you learned as just a part of growing up, or you're Amish and you got it like that, you're probably not going to do very well because the infrastructure it took to bounce back from the Great Depression doesn't exist anymore in our country. We don't have the sawmills, the factories, everything like that. It doesn't exist anymore. So probably not going to bounce back from something like that. Just uncomfortable truth. It's not going to happen the same way a second time. Also, I should point out, it's our fault. Like, just so we're clear. Also, to the greedy people that shipped off things and laid off a bunch of American workers so they could make an extra dime, I hate you. Just saying. Strong words. We don't have it. And now, 3 bonus items that I feel are very important. First one is, morality will become very flexible. And you will have one of 2 options. You will either stand firm on your hill that you're willing to die on, that your morals are uncorruptible, and die, or you will evolve with the situation to what the new moral standard is. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, there's a reason that we used to shoot horse thieves or cattle thieves. That's because if you stole a cattle, you stole food out of a family's mouth that could kill the family because you're a jackass. Also, if you stole a horse, you stole the mode of transportation, a mode of harvesting crops, a mode of planting crops. You stole the mode to go hunt in further away places, thus condemning the family. Why shouldn't you be condemned? There's a reason that laws were different back in the day. And as the world kind of goes to crap all around us in a situation like this, morality will become much more flexible. And you will either become flexible with it, or you will die on your mountain with your uncorruptible morals. I don't care which one you pick, but you need to understand you're going to have to pick one of them. There isn't a third option. Second bonus item, no one is going to come help you. For those of you that have it in your brain that our allies will be here immediately. I don't know if you've ever looked at like our country, but like in the map, if we show the election, like the whole entirety of the middle country is pretty much red, Republican, right? It's all farm people, blue collar workers. And then on the coast, packed in very tightly with like 70% of our frickin' population is on the coast. So those golden hordes of people that didn't leave and did their best to survive, as things actually come into port, it has to get past them first to make it to you. Which means no one is coming to help you, and odds are if they show up to come help you, they're probably going to speak Russian or Chinese, and they're going to send your ass to a re-education camp because your little patriotic butt is not going to stay patriotic very long when they start speaking Mandarin. Nobody's coming to help you. Get it out of your head. I'm not saying you're on your own, but I'm saying you better figure it out. Okay? Uncomfortable truth. Nobody's going to come help you. Yeah, we have allies. Yeah, they'll do what they can, but I'm telling you right now, it's not going to get past the coast. Even if it gets past the coast, it's got to cross the Appalachian Mountains, or from the other side, it's got to cross the Rockies to get to us. In the middle of the country, like, the vast majority of the country. That also means we can't get anything out. And my last bonus point, and I'll let you guys go. Nothing truly shit hit the fan. A real, without rule of law, Teotihuacan scenario. No real scenario is going to be short term. Get that out of your head. Let's look at an EMP. How does that end? Yes, you would have pockets of people with engineers and people that were smart and got together, and maybe in some rural towns that figured out how to get a wind turbine up, maybe power some lights, charge some batteries, and more importantly, probably get a radio up to figure out what's going on around them. Maybe they got that figured out, but that's a singular thing. Maybe they string a couple of communities together, but you're really not going any further than that. First off, the technology and stuff that we had back in the day, the glass bottles, the insulators, all that stuff, it doesn't exist anymore. We don't have it. The system we use doesn't use that stuff. So you're going to have to go find somebody that knew how to maintain that back in the day to make it work again. But that's going to take a lot of time. And you know as well as I do, the first place they're going to focus on is like Washington, D.C., New York, because we're still going to have freaking politicians. That's just a given. Regardless of how fast we wish they would just go, we're still going to have a politician problem, which means that the support will not get to places it actually needs to go. Not only that, let's say they landed enough food on the coast to get everybody in the country fed and all of us back online. They can't get to you. Because if it's an EMP, all those roads, all those highways, interstates, everything is completely clogged. So in order to actually get things to anywhere, they have to clear the roads to make the convoy go through to get food to here without getting raided in the process of getting the food to you. Not a short-term solution. Okay, we'll do it by train. Okay, I want to hear your solution on how we're going to do it by train. See, I'll tell you, the UP guys are awesome. I've watched them clear 3 derailments in the last, freaking 2 years. As a cop, I've seen it happen in my town. Now, those guys are awesome. But if I take away all their cranes, stuff that they use to lay the track, fix the track, bend the track, remove the engine from it, cut everything up, if I take all that away, they are not going to get the same job done. Now imagine all these trains. You may not realize how many trains there are, but we have a fully loaded train pass through my town roughly every 14 minutes. Sometimes as many as 3 at a time on 3 different track systems. And that's happening back to back to back all the way across the country. You have to get all of that off the tracks in order to put a moving, working locomotive back on the track to get the stuff where it needs to go. It is not a short-term problem. They're not going to fix this in 2 months. We're talking years. That's reality. Okay, let's look at another quick one real quick. What happens with currency? We had a total official financial collapse. Dollar's worthless. Okay, that means all your money's worthless. That means all your retirement's gone. That means we're on a true barter system, gold and silver, trading skills for goods or goods for skills. That also means our government can't raise the debt ceiling anymore, and it's finally actually worthless, which, I mean, let's be real right now. I have no idea what planet we were on. We gave the idiots that right there on paychecks the ability to raise the debt ceiling to pay for more stuff they wanted. That was the stupidest. That's like giving your kids matches and a loaded handgun and saying, have fun, but don't get hurt. It's cool. You can play with the wood chipper, little Johnny. That's fine. I don't see what could go wrong with this. Oh, it's cute that you're swinging off that branch that's getting sucked into there. It'll be fine. That's basically what we did with our freaking government. We were like, hey, dude, you guys can't manage money at all. We know that. But we're going to give you the ability to give yourself your own raise and the ability to raise the debt ceiling so you can make more and more bad financial decisions that will further cripple our country later on down the road. What could possibly go wrong? Well, if the economy collapses, we don't have any money to pay for anything. And while there will be some goodness coming from other places, again, it's got to get places. But if our country has no financial security at all and the currency is completely collapsed, that's pretty much the time where we all start speaking a new language and another country comes in and like drops off like their currency and we become whatever they are. Because, and here's the thing, you don't want to believe this, but there are people in this country, even after surviving it and seeing all the stupid crap our own government's done, that would immediately flock to this because it's familiar instead of realizing it's a dumb idea and we just replaced evil with another form of evil. Uncomfortable truth. So guys, I'm Uncle Freedom. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I know it was a little bit longer video, but by God, I had a great time making it. And I already have the information written down for volume number 3. So we're going to have some fun with this. I really like this stuff. I've got a lot of research done into it. So guys, like, subscribe, tell a friend. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. By all means, become a better, more prepared version of yourself. A good red-blooded American, gun-toting, yeehaw, some bitch. And by the way, it's only treason if you lose. Happy Freedom Day, everybody. I filmed this on that day, but I felt like I needed to say it because I am Uncle Freedom, so happy freedom every day, and it's only treason if you lose. You guys have a great time. I'll see you later.